And as a parent, it's hard to know, like, am I making the right decision? Am I not making the right decision? Will these have negative long-term effects or positive long-term effects? Will she understand when she's older?
See, we don't have all the answers either.
No, yeah. If you guys have any answers, hit your girl up, because I don't know.
That's a great point. All right, let's just run through out loud. Okay. All right. Welcome to The Village, the heartwarming and insightful podcast where two incredible moms come together to share their journey of navigating life, love, and the intricate art of blending families. Join us as we dive into the joys, challenges, and unique experiences that arise when two families become one. Hosted by Kayla.
That's me. And hosted by Megan.
That's me.
The Village offers a genuine and relatable space where we share our personal stories, triumphs, and lessons learned on the path of creating a harmonious and loving blended family. Whether you're a stepmom,
bonus mom,
a birth mom, or simply someone interested in the beautiful chaos of family dynamics, this podcast is for you.
Each episode is a heartfelt conversation that covers a wide range of topics, from the everyday moments that bring laughter and tears to the more complex discussions surrounding co-parenting, step-sibling relationships, and building a strong foundation of love and trust. We openly explore the challenges we've faced, the strategies we've employed, and the unexpected joys that have come our way.
The Village isn't just about blending families. It's about the power of friendship, support, and sharing the journey with someone who understands. Tune in as we swap stories, offer practical advice, and invite experts to weigh in on subjects like effective communication, managing expectations, and nurturing connections in a modern blended family.
Whether you're seeking guidance, inspiration, or simply a sense of community, The Village is here to remind you that you're never alone on this incredible journey. Subscribe now to join our community of fellow moms, and let's mom together through the ups and downs, creating a tapestry of love and unity one episode at a time.
I mean, after all, it takes a village.
Oh yeah, and by the way, her ex-husband is my current husband.
Hey!
Welcome back.
Episode 3.
We're here. And we have a fun topic today.
We do. Today's going to be fun. We're here. Y'all are here. That's always a fun time together, even though you're not here. It's always challenging to talk to people that aren't here in the room. But we know y'all are here with us by heart and emotion, and we appreciate that.
And we should tell the people how to find us.
Ooh. How do you find us?
YouTube.
TikTok.
Spotify.
Instagram.
Apple Podcasts. Yeah? Okay.
Facebook.
I think that's all of them.
Google something? Google Podcast?
Yeah. I think that's all.
That's a lot of
platforms
to find us at and get to hang out with us every other Wednesday.
Like us on all of them.
Please.
And thank you.
We'd appreciate it. So today's going to be a fun topic, but we're going to start off a little serious. Well,
with good knowledge, I think, because it gives you like a new perspective.
It does. It really puts it into it's a sad perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But we feel like it needs to be discussed.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of with this topic, we want to talk about how we've gone through it.
Yep. Well, and it was funny. I was listening to our first 2 episodes today to kind of...
Were you listening it with everybody else as they were listening to it? Because we know they're listening to it.
Yes, exactly. Refreshing my memory, making sure we didn't forget anything.
Sure.
You even mentioned kind of like how this is the new norm, unfortunately, like co-parenting, blended families. And this kind of speaks to that. It says about 50% of all American kids will witness the end of their parents' marriage.
That stinks.
That's crazy.
Like, at least over half.
I mean, you think about, like, in a small term, like, how many of your friends, groups are co-parenting?
When you were a kid, were you... way back when?
Yeah.
Were you that statistic? Were you a...
No.
Yeah.
No.
Or how many friends do you think in your, like, elementary class were a product of divorce?
Weirdly enough, I remember talking about this with my siblings, because there's 4 of us, and I feel like for the most part... we were like the only ones whose parents were still married.
Same. That's why I asked. Because I felt like everybody, other than like me and my best friend at that time, everyone else like
was a divorced kid.
Yeah. And they had bonus parents and
Yeah.
step siblings and half siblings. So, yeah, it was definitely not something that I had experienced firsthand until recently. So, yeah, that's a huge number. And I guess honestly, it's kind of like, now that you talk about it, it feels like it should be bigger than that. But
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, about 50, but
Yeah. Well, and this data came from this year, May of this year. So it's
Okay.
very new.
Mhm.
And if anyone's like interested in where we got our information from, it'll be in the description when you're listening to
below.
this. Below.
I always wanted to do that. We talked about that for
Hopefully
a
it
while,
lines
and
up
I wanted to,
appropriately.
yeah.
And then, so moving from that, of those children, so of that 50% of those children, slightly fewer than half of them will go on to see their parents' second marriage breakup, and 1 in every 10 children who have divorced parents will then see the breakup of 3 or more marriages.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So it's like already speaking negativity into the rest of your marriages.
Really, it is. It's like a bad omen or something.
Hold on. I have to take this in.
But I think it would only be a bad omen if you don't learn from the first situation, right?
And that's what we're here for,
Exactly.
is to help marriages succeed,
Mhm.
current ones. And
Mhm.
if you were a part of that statistic or your children are a part of that statistic, let's just keep it at that second. Let's keep it at that second one.
Yes.
We don't want to do a third and a fourth.
We do not.
Or a fifth.
No.
Talking about our last episode, I remember I didn't want to be a product of a divorced lineage. My biological mom was married a couple times.
Mhm.
I think maybe she's on her third or fourth.
Yeah.
My grandmother from my maternal side, I think, is on her third marriage. So I'm stopping at 2. I wasn't gonna have any at all,
Yeah.
but we're stopping at 2. So we're gonna stick to that right there.
Yeah. Definitely.
So to the fact of divorce, children are more likely to experience behavioral issues if parents are divorced when the child is between the ages of 7 and 14.
I think that just speaks to like their mental capacity. You know what I mean? Like they absorb more that happens. And I think most times or more
Mhm.
times than not is probably a better way to say it. Divorces aren't like amicable. They're not nice.
No, it's not like,
So-
hey, good morning, sunshine. Let's
Yeah,
get a divorce. They're
exactly.
like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can skip down the street together.
Which we didn't have kids in this age group, so we can't speak to it directly, but we just thought it was interesting. And maybe
yeah.
you guys have had experiences in this and can give us some information.
Yes.
But makes sense.
It does make sense. However, when Dan and I divorced, the kids were, Landon was 5 or 6 and Lily was 3. Landon, to this day, who is now 11, still asks questions.
Mhm.
He still, and I don't know how because I forgot half of it, he still remembers certain things and that turmoil or an argument that Dan and I would have, or and he would just drop things that I kind of, I guess, emptied out of that bank
Mhm.
due to trauma, but Landon remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that for anybody who their child is of that age or does remember that time, don't be too naive to apologize.
Mm-hmm.
It's not their fault that you all went through a divorce, but they still had to deal with that. And I think an apology goes a long way to those kids. And granted, it sounds so small.
Yeah.
It sounds like granule, but in the big scheme of things, you don't know what benefit that could provide for your kids.
Yeah. Well, and like we talked about before, just speaking honestly too, like not just to their level, like we talked
Yes.
about, but being honest about the mistakes that each person made and how you
Mhm.
ended up where you are. I think that makes a big difference too.
Yeah.
And then moving on from this, I would be interested to know, maybe we can find out, doubtful, but of these situations, like, is there differences within those kids if their parents went on to have successful like co-parenting relationships versus
Mhm.
not? You know what I mean? Of those behavioral issues. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Like if they were the kid or if their kids went through it, now if they have a behavioral issue.
Well, no, like, so say these kids in this age group, if their parents went through a divorce and they experienced behavioral problems, like kind of diving deeper into that number of those kids, did their parents have good co-parenting relationships?
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Could that have caused additional behavioral issues?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I don't think this is behavioral issues. Like these kids are just like lashing out or being tyrants, but just, you know,
dealing with emotions they don't understand.
Yeah. And how to deal with those emotions. And, you know, I know that was a factor in my divorce was, do I carry this on now? And it may not work again in a year or two. And then by that time, Landon would have been 7 or 8 and would have then been a product of that type of divorce and that statistic. So I did consider, okay, if I, you know, have a divorce now, maybe it won't affect my kids as much.
Yeah. So from that though, positive note, no more
we love a good
negativity.
Positivity.
Therapists do indicate though that some children of divorced parents are likely to develop positive personality traits. And I think if I remember correctly, it was like coping mechanisms and stuff too, right? As far as
I don't think I read into that much of the article.
That deeply into it.
I did. I read the power.
Skimmed it. And I think that was part of it.
But then again, I think that factors back into the fact of that healthy co-parenting relationship or even that healthy parenting relationship. Maybe, you know, you've gotten a divorce and your kid has gone through it. Communicate with that child and help them understand or ask questions that might be an uncomfortable conversation to have. Yeah. But talking with your kids at that age, I think is a helpful aspect to have.
Definitely.
However, the success of co-parenting relationships can vary widely based on individual circumstances and the effort put into them. There's no fixed percentage for success, but research suggests that effective communication, cooperation, and a focus on the well-being of the child can increase the likelihood of successful co-parenting arrangement. It goes on to say that a success rate can range anywhere from 50 to 80% depending on various factors. So I think that's really why Megan and I put on this podcast, is to just keep that in mind, that every situation is unique and that hopefully we can just kind of benefit together from this podcast and to be able to just help each other and, you know, blossom into a beautiful co-parenting family. And that hopefully that our children and your children are not part of that negative statistic, but more than likely due to the effort that you put in as a parent, we're on the brighter end of statistics.
Exactly. And I'm hoping you guys could figure it out by now, but our topic today is going to be about our kids and multiple, I think, levels of them, how they've handled the divorce, the new marriages, the transition to co-parenting,
the new siblings,
the
additional sibling.
Yeah. And just our experiences with them and how we've handled them along the way.
Yep.
And honestly, how we're still figuring out how to handle them as they get older. I think like what you mentioned with Landon, you know, they're all getting older and they're learning how to have their own relationships and they want to learn from our mistakes, I think, which isn't a bad thing.
No, yeah. And I think, you know, I like to be vulnerable with my kids, not to the extent that like they know my deepest, darkest secrets, but to the fact that they know I'm not perfect. They know mistakes have been made.
And they know you're being honest.
Yeah. And they know that it's okay to make mistakes, but what steps can we take as people to move forward from those mistakes? So I think we're just going to kind of dive in total in our village. We have 5 kiddos. 2/4 are Megan's, and then 3 are mine. And I think we're just going to go in age order and just kind of introduce them in a sense.
Definitely.
And just kind of chit chat with each other on what their feelings were during that time.
Yeah, the process.
Yeah.
So we've mentioned it before, but our oldest in the group is Braden, and he's 13. Braden is a super easygoing kid. Even in his teenage years right now, he's super soft and loving and cooperative and responsible. He's still a boy and, you know, likes fart noises and stuff like that.
I mean, who doesn't like fart noises?
But he's just super calm and easygoing. Almost to the level like we have to pull things out of him. Like, are you sure you're okay? You know? He probably gets that from his mom.
Are you sure you're okay?
Right now, yes. Ask me again later.
Right.
But I honestly expected Brayden to be my one that would have more issues in the divorce, in the transition, because he was a little older.
Sure.
It just dawned on me when you were talking earlier. Brayden and Emma were the same ages as Landon and Lily during our divorces. They were just a
Really?
little, yeah, because it was, you said 5 and 3?
Yep.
Yeah, mine were 5 and 3 also.
Aw,
Yeah.
sweet babies.
So Brayden was a little older. He
Yeah.
remembered his dad being around. And
Mhm.
if you haven't listened to episodes before, in the beginning of my separation and divorce, their dad wasn't around at all. He was in another state. We co-parented, I think, to the best of our ability. But most decisions were mine. I was there on the day-to-day basis. But I expected him to have the most trouble with adjustment. But he didn't. He kind of took everything in stride.
Yeah.
He didn't have a lot of questions. He's kind of like, if you're like, hey, Brayden, you're doing this on this day, he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I think the only thing I remember from when he was a little younger is he likes to know things ahead of time. He wants a plan.
I like Brayden.
Yeah. He doesn't like things sprung on him. So I remember like him being little, like all the way back to like potty training.
Mhm.
It was, hey, bud, like we're on your last bag of pull-ups. You got, however many left. When this bag is empty, we're not
done.
buying anymore. And his brain understood that, and he never used a pull-up ever again. So like his whole life, he's been very like, he wants to be prepared for whatever it
Sure.
is. So he doesn't like surprises.
Okay.
And which is funny because you would think this he wouldn't handle well, but he
Mhm.
did.
How
And
did you tell Brayden, like, mommy and daddy are no longer going to be together? Did you have that conversation
No.
because he was at such a young age?
It's funny because I kind of figured what you're going to ask when you started asking it. And I'm like thinking, I think because of our situation, I never had to in like a,
Oh, because he was used
because he
to...
wasn't,
Okay.
because he wasn't around.
Mhm.
And then even when we were together, Jeremy was military.
You're right. That's what I was going to say.
So
like,
he
he's
would be
used to
deployed
him.
and stuff like that for long periods of time. And then when we moved to Florida and he moved to Washington, at that point we were 6 months into just being me and the kids. So there wasn't like this huge
Mhm.
adjustment. And I think that because my family was around, it kind of was exciting to him in a sense because
Sure.
I have siblings they were much younger than me, so they're fun and they take Brayden to do
Yes.
things and they have sleepovers and my parents were around. So I think all that stuff distracted him.
Mhm.
I think there were times of him being like, hey, like when's dad coming in town again? And we would
And that was the norm.
exactly.
That's
And
fair.
we would kind of have like conversations like, okay, well, say it's Halloween, but dad will be here for Christmas. So he could kind of count down, okay, like dad will be here around Christmas time. Because at
Mhm.
5, he didn't understand timing.
Right.
But he understood like,
The holidays.
yeah, the holidays.
You changed the pumpkins out. for the
Exactly.
Christmas trees.
Exactly. But yeah, like I don't remember him ever having like a hard transition.
Yeah.
And I'd honestly be curious when he's a little older to have that conversation with him from his point of view. And you know what I mean? Like
Maybe we might have a guest
Maybe.
speaker.
if he doesn't have a heart attack.
That's fair. Maybe we'll just like secretly record him.
Maybe we'll have to.
We're coming for you, Bray.
But yeah, he was my easy one and he still continues to be
Mhm.
easy, surprisingly. Now Emma and Landon are very close in age.
I was literally thinking who
Yeah.
was first.
So Emma's 14 days older than Landon.
Okay, then we'll go with Emma.
So Emma,
I love how you remember that because I totally
I
did not.
always remember it's just 2 weeks of the day. Makes it
Oh,
easy.
well, it does make
Yeah.
it easy.
So, like I said, I expected Brayden to be the difficult one with adjusting, just age-wise. But Emma was a baby. She
Mhm.
had just turned 3 when we
Yeah, same.
went our separate ways.
Yep.
And I think because of that, when Jeremy did move back into town, she had a hard time adjusting to him like being her dad.
Sure.
She knew like logically he was,
Mhm.
but she didn't have that connection with him.
right.
So she had a really hard time. And I mean, now I don't know. I don't want to do the math. He's been back in Jacksonville for, I want to say 3 years now.
Okay.
We're still struggling with that
Mhm.
relationship.
Yeah.
Which I think speaks a lot about how much like is formed in those early years.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yes.
That relationship is built and made and
Mhm.
they've had a hard time recuperating that, you
Mhm.
know? And I'll be honest, like Jeremy's, I think really tried his hardest
Yeah.
in his ability.
Yep.
But she just, can't let down her walls of like how she feels.
Mm-hmm.
So she continues to be the hardest of them
Yeah.
as far as that goes. And Emma's a very like mature 11-year-old.
Mhm. She's very boisterous too.
Very. She's not the kind of kid that I would ever expect to follow the leader. She would be the one
Mhm.
conducting it. Hopefully
She's
in
the
a good
mastermind.
way. Yeah,
Yes.
hopefully in a good way. But yeah, and like I said, continues to be really hard for me because I just don't know the right answers.
Mhm.
I've always felt like it was a right decision to let him have them 50-50 when he came
Mhm.
back, for them to form a relationship. But at this point, nothing's changed. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of at the place where I'm like, I don't know at what point she's old enough to make decisions on her own about
Mhm.
where she wants to be and you know what I mean? Those
Yeah.
kind of things.
And you can't force a relationship either.
No. And I feel like that even makes it harder.
Right.
You know, because
Mhm.
at what point in your life when you're made to go somewhere do you want to be there?
Yeah.
You know? So
But then it's the respect factor of, okay, well, I need to be here because this
Exactly.
is my dad, you know?
Exactly. And
I
as a
get it.
parent, it's hard to know, like, am I making the right decision? Am I not making the right
Mhm.
decision? Will these have negative long-term effects or positive
Right.
long-term effects? Will she understand when she's older?
See, we don't have all the answers either.
no, yeah. If you guys have any answers,
Let us
hit your girl
know.
up because I don't know. So yeah, we're still like going down this path of figuring it out, and who we still don't know.
Yeah.
And I think at the moment we're going to continue our schedule that we've had
Mhm.
for a while now. It's been a little bit harder recently because Jeremy got a new job and he's gone
Sure.
again. So I think that's kind of made things a little harder in her eyes because like
Mhm.
he'll be gone, say for a month at a time, and she kind of will sporadically be with me and sporadically be with her stepmom.
Mhm.
And then she'll get used to being with me, and then her dad comes back. And so she has like a hard time adjusting to that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like not solid
routine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not without that solid routine.
That's
which I think
fair.
is like another bump in the road.
Mhm.
And it's hard too, because I don't want her as she gets older to not be able to adjust. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
You want to teach her like life skills, but you don't want to
Mhm. Force life
cause
skills.
trauma. So
Yeah.
that's
tough.
what I'm scared about all the time. I'm like, are my kids gonna grow up and
Me too.
be like, my mom, such and such.
such and such. Fill in
Fill
blank
in the
here.
blank.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank.
So that'll lead me to Landon.
Mhm.
Landon is 2 weeks younger than Emma. And I think people that don't know us ask if they're twins.
Yes.
These two are our headbutters.
Yes. Very
They
much so.
are close in age. They're not close in emotional love for each other. They love each other, but
They want to fight each other on the daily.
all the time.
Mhm. With their words, not their fists, guys, just so y'all know.
I would beat Landon. For
Yeah.
starters.
Yeah.
Yes. So Landon is 11. He is my oldest boy. He was 5 when Dan and I divorced. And to my point earlier, he still asks questions and reminds me of things that I try to forget.
Mhm.
He's my hard-headed one. So Landon was 2-3 years back diagnosed with ADHD. He's just a hyper boy.
Mhm.
He constantly has to be moving,
Fidgeting.
fidgeting,
Yeah.
things of that sort. And we do vitamins to try to help maintain that. I guess try to calm down the fidgeting and high energy.
Mhm.
I'm not to the point where I want to put him on medication.
Yeah.
I've seen too many kids go through that and turn into a zombie. And he's got the biggest heart and the
Mhm.
goofiest personality. I
And he
don't want to.
performs well in school and sports. It doesn't
Correct.
impede his ability to like,
No.
succeed.
Correct. And so, he's still my challenging child. He drives me crazy. And I,
Mhm.
in his diagnosis, I think I have self-diagnosed myself
Yeah.
with a bit of ADD or ADHD because his antics then spiral me into an
Mhm.
antic. And I'm like, oh,
I'm overstimulated.
Overstimulated.
Yeah.
So we've learned to, converse with each other, and Landon knows when I'm overstimulated, and I know when he's just having one of those
Mhm. Days.
days where he just constantly has to be moving, and it's a learning battle.
Mhm.
However, he's got the biggest heart that I
Mhm.
think I've ever met in a kid. He will, like his dad,
Mhm.
will bend over backwards for anybody.
Mhm.
So he
Never met a stranger.
never met a stranger. And he's the kid now that we were somewhere. Oh, we dropped him off at his friend's house, and it was his friend's grandparents' house. Landon walked in and shook the grandpa's hand. Like
he's a grown 35-year-old man.
Nice to meet you. And I'm like, oh, I guess I should say cancer. Hi,
Okay,
you know,
thanks.
and so it's so funny to see him mature in manners that I'm just like,
It's weird.
okay, you were
Yeah.
just doing backflips on my couch an hour ago.
Literally,
Like,
yeah.
okay.
Literally.
So, but he's a sweetheart. And then Lily is my daughter. She does get a little spoiled because she is my only girl. And
She
she's
was the baby, but
She was the baby. She's the baby at their house.
Mhm.
And so when we had Camden, that was a bit of a transition. So Lily is 8. She is my Brayden.
yes.
She is my go with the flow. You tell her what we're doing. She's up for it. She's just that carefree, just roll with the punches type of girl. She was 3 when we got a divorce, and this is all she's really known.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't remember anything different.
No,
Yeah.
we've kept our same rotation for the last however many years. Like, she knows it's Sunday, we're switching.
Yep.
Like, cool beans, let me grab my backpack.
No questions. She's just good to go.
Yes. That's Lil. That's about it with Lil.
Yeah.
She's
Lil's
just
super easy.
She is super easy. She's
I think the worst thing you can say about Lily is her forgetfulness.
Well, she gets that
But
honestly.
Yeah, like
Sorry,
but
Lil.
she's just but it comes from a good place because she's just like la-di-da. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Just doing her thing. She
Yeah.
has no issues. But then, she just
She forgets.
forgets.
The poor girl.
Yeah.
It's not her fault. It's my fault at the end of the day. I forget things too.
I think Dan does too.
See, okay,
Yeah.
so she gets it
Yeah.
honestly 100%.
Yeah.
Not her fault.
Good point.
However, she does very good in school as
She
well.
does. Yes.
She is very caring. She's a tomboy.
Mm-hmm.
She hangs out with mostly the boys at school. She
catches bugs.
She loves bugs and lizards, and
Yeah.
if there's a critter in the house, we're
Mhm.
calling Lil.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, we're gonna put a Tupperware over that till Lily gets here because I'm not doing
Ooh,
that.
like when we found the
Scorpion,
dang, no, what was the thing? The big lizard.
skink.
No, remember
There
the
was a-
huge one that we caught down the street?
We caught a
bearded dragon.
and this
Yes.
thing was half the size of this table.
100%.
He was huge.
He was huge.
He was
Yeah.
a potty trained bearded dragon, and one of our
Yes.
neighbors lost him, and Lily was just like, huh, scoop.
Yeah. Caught him. We returned him to his owners, but that was a interesting sidebar. But
That
That
I forgot
explains
about
Lily.
That
That
explains
explains
Lily.
Lily. Yeah.
Yes.
I think we caught him in a laundry basket or something.
It was
and
like
she
this
just
big old Tupperware
picked
basket.
up this lizard and put him in there.
She's crazy.
So yeah. So it's funny because Brayden and Lily are the super easy, chill
Mhm.
ones, and our 2 middle ones are the harder ones, which
Mhm.
they're not. Well, I guess technically Lily's your middle child, but in
Mhm.
our household,
Oh, yeah.
Emma and Landon are the middle.
Do
so
Brayden and Emma get along when Landon and Lily are not there? Oh, I
Mhm.
envy you.
hmm The funny thing is, they were bickering in the car the other day, but like in a very fun
Yeah.
way.
Landon and Lily are just getting to that.
They are, okay.
And I'm
They're getting a
sure it's
little
probably
older.
an age thing.
I think so too. They typically enjoy each other. I feel like
Mhm.
when no one else is around. But if you notice them enjoying each other, they start annoying each other.
Oh,
like they're
well.
kind of at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, they seem like they do really well. The only thing they do that annoys me when they're together is they just get loud. Like
Oh.
like they start over talking each other
Yeah.
and like just being loud and rambunctious. But that's like the overstimulated me. It's not really their fault. I'm just
Yeah. I get
you
it.
know.
Yep.
But yeah, no, they do good together when it's just the 2 of them. And then you throw in all 4 and they gang up on each other. And it's
Sure.
like boys and girls and they hate each other's guts.
Or then like I've seen Lily and Bray like
Yes. Yeah.
bond, and I'm like,
They have similar personalities, I think is what it
Yes.
is. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Landon and Lily fight all the time.
Well, and
All the time.
Brayden has a thing about not being hugged or touched.
Oh, yes.
Right? And Lily likes to make it a fun game to try to hug him.
Mhm.
And he like acts like he's resisting, but he kind of lets her do it. And it's really sweet because he
that's
really,
his baby sister.
yeah,
Yeah.
because he really doesn't like people touching him.
Oh, I'm gonna touch him now.
You should.
I'm just gonna be like,
just hug
hey,
him.
Bray.
Just hug him every time you see him. He'd probably let you. He lets certain
I don't
people.
want him to be uncomfortable. He's probably like, this old lady, get off me.
No, we're trying to get him outside of his comfort zone sometimes. You know.
I'm gonna do a high five. We're gonna do hand hugs.
Okay, there you go.
We'll start small.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Side hug, like move into the
Okay.
side hug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna progress.
That would be good.
Then it's just gonna be a big old bear hug. People are gonna think Braden's my kid at that point.
Probably.
But yeah, Landon and Lily bicker all the time. And it's just Lily, like, to Landon's hyperactivity, he'll be doing like Spider-Man flips on his bed, and then Lily's like, I want to try, and then he flips on her, and then
gosh,
it's just
that's
a
what they do.
hole, and I'm like,
Well, they like to fight at our house, and then Lily wants to
Yes.
cry because Landon hurt him.
but he is
her, and then-
rough. But then I'm like,
yes,
well,
but yeah, it's a whole thing.
Glad I
I'm sure you guys understand this. It's a whole
Ugh.
thing. But then we
It's
had the
tough.
baby.
Then we have Cam, C-Dub, CW, Camden. What else do
He
we
has
call
like
him?
50 different
He
names.
does. He is Stephen and I, my husband and I's child. He's 3.
Mhm.
And we just celebrated a birthday in October for him. So
Yep.
that was fun. He is my craziest child.
He's like, so recently we kept Cam while Kayla and Steven had a little anniversary weekend. So we had all 5 kids at the house. He's like exhausting, and I like don't know how you guys do it every day.
I don't either.
Even though like I had kids at that age at one point, it's been a while. I was like, this is exhausting. Like he doesn't stop.
And he's mean.
Yeah, he's at the
He's so mean.
He's at the little turd phase where he's like, I don't yike you.
I don't
And I'm
yuck
like-
you. I don't yuck you.
I'm like, I don't yike you either.
right?
then."
I'm like, fine, bye. My feelings are not hurt.
Not hurt at all. I just brought you gummies. And You're so
Right.
mean.
No, but Camden is he is that cherry on top, I think.
Yeah.
So Steven and I, when Steven and I dated, I already had Landon and Lily. We knew that.
Mhm.
And he told me that he wanted a kid, just one. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, this is not going anywhere. Sure. Yeah,
Whatever.
whatever. Let's entertain this for a little bit. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, and I hope he's okay with me telling
Sharing?
it.
Yeah.
I should probably ask him. However, we almost called off our marriage, and I don't know if I got cold feet or whatever the case may be,
Mhm.
but it hit me that I was having to start over,
Mhm.
and I was having to have another child
Mhm.
and be pregnant and birth it and raise it and wipe its butt
From
and feed it.
day one. Yeah.
Yes. And so after a lot of conversations, I mean, probably 48 hours before our wedding, I was like, you know, you're right. Like, and I think it was cold feet.
Mhm.
I knew I could do it. I didn't know if I wanted to do it. There are still days where I'm like, it's funny. Camden will do something funny, and then he'll just be like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, for
We've-
what? And he was like,
We've witnessed this, and it's so funny. He's like, this is my fault. We're like, back
It is your fault. However, when Camden wants to be sweet, he is the sweetest
Oh,
little
he's so
thing.
sweet. Yeah.
The
He's just in a
10%
phase
of the
right
time.
now.
He is.
He's
He's
in a
free.
phase. Yeah.
So he loves Braden. He loves Braden. He loves Emma. He loves Bubba. And I love Sissy. And I love Fred. And I love the cat. And I love Meg.
Uh-huh.
He'll go through the whole list,
Whole
including
list.
their animals
Yeah.
of who he loves. And it's so funny. But yeah, he is like a joint venture
He is.
for us. Megan and Dan watch Camden time to time for us. They joined us for his birthday. His birthday fell on a weekday. So they came to that, and then, you know, they had the party. And so it was just, we kind of share them. Sometimes when we can't handle them, we
like, here, we need a break. Take him.
please. For the
Which
love
is
of God.
nice because Dan and I didn't have any kids together,
Mhm.
obviously. We debated, we still to this day debate,
Yeah.
but I will be 35 soon. And that's kind of like you. I love
Mhm.
babies. I love that phase, but I just don't think I have it in me to start over.
Yeah.
But also I think part of it's like personal to a level of like, I stayed home with Braden and Emma and I got to be
Mm.
there all the way up to kindergarten. And
Yeah.
I couldn't do that this time. I have a career that,
Right.
that I've been invested in for 7, almost 8 years
Mhm.
now. So as much as I would love to have a baby, I just don't think it's in our cards. I don't think
Yeah.
that's part of our relationship, which
Mhm.
I'm still coming to terms with sometimes.
Yeah.
But we do get our hands on Cam quite often, which has been really fun from the time he was a little
Mhm.
guy. I have actually saw a picture the other day of when he was like maybe 1 at our house with a bottle in the bed with me. It was so cute. I was like, I can't believe how fast.
Life
Like,
is gone.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we love having him around, and we wanted from the get-go, and I'll say this was Dan's initiated it, I feel like. But
I think
Dan's
so, too.
Dan's more of an assertive human than I am.
Yes.
He wanted to make sure that Camden always felt welcome in our house
Mhm.
because until the foreseeable future,
Yep.
the kids will be going back and forth, right? And at one point or another, Cam's going to be old enough to be like, hey, like, I don't
go
want
Fred's house.
Exactly. Like, I don't want my sister and brother going over there and
Yeah.
I have to stay here by myself.
Mhm.
So we don't want him to ever feel like he can't come with them or feel
Right.
comfortable with us. So from the get-go, he's just always been around.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
And you can see that time though that gets put in. Like, he loves Dan. Dan's like the fun
Mhm.
uncle.
He's the funkle.
He is the funkle. You know, I'll give Dan props on that. He
Yeah.
definitely made sure that was something that was like top priority,
Mhm.
which is, I think, have been really great for all
Yeah.
the kids.
And I think it's funny too. People ask us all the time. They're like, "You let your ex-husband watch your baby?" And Steven reacts to that question. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, yeah. Steven said, and it's true. Steven said, Dan trusts me with his kids.
Mhm.
So why shouldn't I be able to trust Dan with
Mine.
mine?
Yeah.
Mine.
Absolutely.
And I was like, wow, mic drop moment. That was spiritual,
Yeah.
babe. Good job.
Well, and I feel like for men that comes like, that's a big deal because I feel like
It
sometimes like
is.
pride can get in the way or
Yeah.
like, I don't know, whatever men brains
Men.
have going on. Yeah, men. So I think that's a big deal. And I think it says a lot about our relationship altogether that we're able to, you know, set that aside in a way, which I don't ever feel like it was ever setting anything aside other than,
No.
you know.
My favorite part is going to be when Camden asks, like, Mom, who are Meg and Fred? And I'm like,
what's the dynamic here?
well, see, go ask your brother.
Yeah, exactly. Go ask somebody else.
Right.
Well, and it's fun because I feel like we talked about this, I think,
Mhm.
last episode. Kids naturally have that, like, the big thing is the dad and the medium thing is the
Yes.
mom and the little thing is the baby, right? And so when he's at our house, when he was little, he's starting to grow out of that now. But when he was real little, he would sometimes say mom and dad
Yes.
to me and Dan. He has siblings running around
Oh, yeah.
saying it. But you know, it's like a natural thing to say that. And it was just always really cute that like he felt comfortable enough to do that. And then there was never like, when I think we told you guys like joking around and it was never like, what? You
It
know what I
never,
mean?
no, I don't think it ever bothered me because I'm not going to let a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old
Mhm.
who's hearing 4 other kids say mom and dad. Like,
Yeah.
he's not doing it to be like, let me piss my mom off.
Yeah,
Hey, mom,
Yeah.
to Megan.
exactly.
He's doing it because he hears other people. So why would that
Yeah.
bother me? You
Well,
know?
I think it's also like, you know how kids go through the phase of like, mom, and they're like,
Mhm.
Kayla. I think it's kind of like that.
Yes.
You know, he's like, well, she answers mom to that kid.
Right.
So she's
Let
gonna
me try this
definitely,
one.
yeah, let me try this out. But yeah, I think it's been fun from the get-go.
Mhm.
And like Cam comes to us to birthday parties sometimes and different events with our in-laws. And so it's been really fun to have like an extra kid around sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Well, and then Megan and Dan have 2 nephews that are kind of around
Mhm.
Cam's age.
like I think right in between.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. And so he gets to go play with kids his
Mhm.
age. In our family, we don't have that aspect. So I kind of like enjoy those moments when he gets to go hang out with the boys because
Yeah.
Camden's crazy. I say that because he really is. He was following.
He's all boy.
He is.
Yeah.
He
Rough
was
and tumble.
roaring like a dinosaur at some stranger kid the other day at the park. I'm like, hey parents, so sorry. Like, and you know, but he's always hanging out with older kids.
Which
So
is, and it's true. He does. Maddox is our nephew that he
Mhm.
plays with, and they're like right at a year
I think
apart.
they're about a year apart.
About a year apart.
Mhm.
So yeah, actually, because Maddox just turned 4 in September.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah.
So yeah, they're right at a year apart, but it's funny. They've been in the same phases together, like
Mhm.
dinosaurs, and now it's monster trucks, and so
Oh,
like they were
yeah.
playing monster trucks last time, and we've got to see the fun, like them figuring things out, like arguing or not,
Mhm.
not wanting to share toys. So yeah, he gets to do the fun like toddler play stuff
Yeah,
too,
because
you
he
know?
stays at home with my in-laws, so he doesn't get to go to daycare. Next year will be different, but it'll be fun to see
Yeah.
that transition. I'm sure I'll get phone calls.
Hopefully he doesn't.
I'm gonna
like,
give him
try
your
to
number.
body- He called her mom, so she gets to deal with it.
She's on that pickup list. You need to call her other mom, his other mom.
Do it. I don't want to talk about it.
I actually might do that for fun one day.
That would honestly be
Just to see what
hilarious. They'd be like, so
Hey, Miss Miller.
we're confused over
Right.
here. So you talked a little bit about Landon, like intermittently has a hard time,
Mhm.
right? I feel like it's been about a year since he's asked me anything or brought it up.
Mhm.
I know in the beginning, a big point he would bring up was like the dynamic of how we all lived. So like, I guess when he was younger and you and Dan were together, y'all
Mhm.
lived with with Dan's parents, right?
Yes, we rotated. His parents
Yeah,
some
your
years, my
parents.
parents some years.
So he would live in this like big, like crazy household.
yes.
And then he got broken down into like
Yeah.
a traditional dynamic of a family,
Sure.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that was honestly like one of the hardest things for him from like my perspective.
I think he still battles it too.
Yeah.
Because and like
He got that from his dad too.
yeah.
Because Dan still wants us to all like live in a commune and like
Yeah. Landon is, I guess again, and I don't condone this to his hyperactivity. Landon's just always been around a big family.
Mhm.
When to that point, we've either always lived with my mom or we've always lived with his mom or things of that sort. So when we divorced and went to that traditional aspect, and then Steven and I bought our home, and to that point, Dan and Megan live in the house that Dan grew up in, and
Mhm.
now Landon is growing up in.
Mhm.
So Landon has more fun at their house because they have that big family dynamic. At our house, we like to chill and not
Well-
have a billion people at our house all the time.
Well, and I think the big thing, it's funny you brought that up because I was thinking it earlier. There's a different dynamic because when he comes to my house, Braden's there.
right.
So like I said, they're rambunctious together.
Mhm.
They're silly. They play video games, whatever. Whereas when he comes to your house, it's him and Lily and Cam.
correct.
So there's just a different like dynamic, and I feel
Mhm.
like we're
We're trying to learn that
Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of hitting me that Landon thrives in a big dynamic.
Mhm.
And so Steven and I are trying to make ways or like we'll try to like take him to the jump park so he can go be an 11-year-old kid,
Mhm.
not a big brother, not
Yeah.
a chore doer, not a get your homework doneer. You
Mhm.
know, go be a kid, go have fun. We don't have the luxury that you all have with, land that he can go
Mhm.
explore. We're like, here's our little yard.
Plan
Go find something. And then Lily
Yeah.
will find a lizard and he's like, cool. I'm like, well, she found something.
it.
You know?
You try it.
That's
Give it a
something.
shot.
And he's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
So trying to figure out that dynamic is tough and it's challenging. And we try a lot at our house to have one-on-one time. Having a toddler is
Mhm.
tough. And that takes a lot of your energy and a lot of your I don't have the word to my brain. A lot of
Mental
your
capacity?
focus. Yeah. Whereas at y'all's house,
It's completely different.
it is.
Yeah.
And-
Dan and I have talked about that too because I feel like it's good and bad.
Mhm.
For us to have one-on-one time with the kids, we really have to like plan something.
Yeah.
And we try to plan it around like situations where say you guys need Landon and Lily and it's my week. That gives me a chance to have some time with Braden and Emma.
Right.
Or Dan takes Braden to do something and I take Emma to do
Mhm.
something. So we have to like use situations to our advantage like that.
Yes.
Because we try not to separate them when they're all together
Mhm.
because they do only have that 50% of the time
Well,
to
and
be
we
together.
don't, to that point, we don't do one-on-one time for like hours on it.
Yeah.
We'll take that time to go get some ice cream or like I owe Landon a huge steak dinner at some point. I'm like, you have to wait for a different paycheck. However, he's looking forward to that and that makes
like
me
just the two of you guys?
Yeah.
It's funny because Braden's the same way. I wonder if this is a boy thing, but Braden's the same way. He
Mhm.
wants us just to go have dinner together. That's it.
Yeah.
Just go sit and have dinner.
And I'm like, okay, however, we're not sitting on our phones the whole time. I want to talk to you.
Do you know what's funny though is yesterday I went and had Longhorn with my grandma and my
Mhm.
mom, and we walked in and Braden was like, "Do you remember that one time me and you had a date night here?"
Aw.
And this was probably 5 or 6 years ago.
They love
and it was
it.
that exact same Longhorn, and it was funny because the next day I
Mhm.
think I got sick. No like thing
Oh.
on Longhorn, but I just happened to get sick.
Yeah.
But he remembers like that
Mhm.
one-on-one time with me
Yeah.
because there were no distractions.
Well, and like we do it, and Steven and I, because Steven's trying to build that relationship with Landon and Lily. So we try to rotate. Like I'll go take Lil,
Yeah.
and Steven will go take Landon, and then vice versa.
yeah.
Like their next we call it a little date, is Steven is to take Lily downtown to go take pictures.
Fun.
I don't know what Lily's going to take pictures of,
Something.
but she's going to go take pictures.
Okay.
And she's so excited.
Okay.
Steven's like, what are we going to do? I'm like, you just go
Yeah.
downtown.
Lily will figure it out.
Yep.
So I want to talk about that a little bit because
Mhm.
Dan and I talk about this. It's funny, like, so you said Steven trying to connect with Lily.
Mhm.
I feel that way about Landon. So like at my
Girl,
house.
me too.
So maybe we should gang up on him.
Right.
We'll force him to love us.
Yes.
And take him to do things.
He'll have no options.
Exactly. Lily's so easy. Like,
Mhm.
and I think part of it, she was 3 when Dan and I started dating.
Mhm.
And so, you know, she's just cutesy and cuddly and
Yeah.
we did girl things and she's easy to connect with. And Landon, I feel like, is a little harder. And part of it, I feel like, is because Braden was always around. And so I never had to put an effort in that same way.
Mhm.
Because it was just like, I brought Braden to the table. Here you go. You know?
Here is a friend and
Here's
a brother.
friend. Exactly. But now, like, as he's getting older, I'm like, I have to find ways to, like, connect with
Mhm.
him. Because I want him to trust me. I want him to, like,
Yeah.
you know, if there's things that happen in life that, like, maybe he doesn't want to talk to Dan about at my
Yeah.
house. Like, maybe he wants to talk to me about.
Mhm.
So that's tough. And I feel like Lily, it's funny, Dan mentioned yesterday, because me and my sisters and Emma, we all have Cladas.
Oh, okay.
It's like a family thing.
Yeah.
And Dan was like, you should get Lily a Clada. And I was like, I
Aw.
planned on it. I was just waiting until she's a little older.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
That girl ain't responsible right now.
No. No.
But that will be something that is like a
I
connection.
love that.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm like, what could I do for Landon like that? Like that would be, but I feel like he's so hard.
Get him Call of Duty stuff.
You know how much money I spent on
Girl,
what
I'm
was
totally
it?
kidding.
Fortnite?
I don't
What
know.
are all the other things that we spent money on that they don't play anymore?
I don't know. Landon is tough. And I wonder if that's a boy thing. And if you have boys,
Chime in. Older boys, we want to know.
yeah, I need advice. Y'all tell me what to do. Because boys are tough. And I don't know if that's they love us. We're their
Yeah.
mommies. They
Yeah.
respect us. They give us hugs
Yeah.
and they come to us for things. But there's just that like emotional barrier, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
No fault to them and no fault to us. But
Just
I'm
different.
I'm like, love me.
Well, and I guess some of it's like Braden and we were alone for some time, and I
Mhm.
feel like we're bonded just by that situation. And Braden's just he's a huggy kind of kid. He likes to play with my hair when we're alone.
Mhm. But he doesn't like hugs.
He doesn't like hugs. But Landon, I don't, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I didn't
you didn't have that
time with
immediate
him.
connection.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't think it's just a Landon thing because, oh, maybe it is. I don't know.
We're figuring it out.
When Landon was born, he was a colicky baby.
Yeah.
And we lived with my mother-in-law at the time. And my mother-in-law would take a lot of those moments just because she was a night owl. I would have been a witch if I did not sleep. And so as a first-time mom, you took that help.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was not a person, my pride did not get in the way. I'm like, yes, dear
Yes,
Lord,
please.
please
I'm going to
take this
bed.
child. And so I feel that connection kind of was blocked
Mm-hmm.
because my mother-in-law was there at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I never had to go through those bonding experiences
Mhm.
and try to really figure out Landon.
Yeah.
I blame that.
Yeah.
And I don't
From
want
the
to
beginning.
I don't want to point blame,
Mhm.
but I feel like I could have connected with Landon at an earlier time.
That makes sense. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, and I think like we were talking about, like there's a lot of that connection that's formed in the beginning.
Right.
Dan said something the other day though about how like when he got older, he
Mhm.
realized like how much he appreciated his mom. Like maybe he
Mhm.
didn't realize it when he was younger. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just
I'm
like maybe
waiting.
there's gonna be
Yep.
like a switch that gets flipped, and they're like, oh yeah, my mom is badass.
There's a Morgan Wallen song. I'm like, that's going to be me and Landon.
One day.
He's going to call me one day and just
Yeah.
tell me all about his day. I'm just going to sit on the other line smiling ear to ear and be like, today's the day.
Today's the
That's
day.
happening. So, yeah, that's our kids in a nutshell.
Yeah,
I think they're striving to the best of their ability
Mhm.
with the situation at hand.
definitely.
I don't fear that any of them are going to become a negative statistic. I feel that we're doing our best efforts to
Mhm.
be able to set them up for success.
Definitely.
And I pray over them constantly. I pray over yours constantly. Just loving them and caring for them. Emma and I got to hang out at church together by
Yeah.
ourselves. And I was like,
This is fun.
hey, Emmy. Like, cool. You want to hang out?
Well, and I think if you think about it from like a different perspective, like there's 4 of us, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like obviously I'm around Landon and Lily more, but you're around
Mhm.
Emma and Braden too, like
Yeah.
quite frequently, weekly. I feel like all four of us have like different strong suits, different things we can contribute to them as parents. And like, even though, you know, everybody wants that 2-family dynamic and for marriages to stay together, like, look at the silver lining. Like, they're getting 4 people who love them, who are like looking after them, who are like.
Yesterday, I don't know who said it. Was it Steven? Somebody said that Lily said, that Lily was bragging. It was to your neighbor. About how, because I met the neighbor and she's like, oh, you're her mom? And I'm like, yes, I am. Nice to meet you. And Lily was bragging to her about, well, I get like 3 Christmases. Like, this is the best. And I'm like, we've made it. We did it. So I think to the silver lining part of, you know, it was a horrible situation, but how can you make the best of it?
100%.
You know, you get 3 Christmases. We have something planned up our sleeve for Christmas. Like, there's things that, you know.
It doesn't have to have a negative ending.
No.
You know, there's a negative or a bad portion of the story, but that doesn't have to be the end of the story.
No, it's just a chapter.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a nice little book. This is our book.
Our book.
Chapter 3.
Ooh, a audiobook.
Oh. I've always wanted to do that. I've actually always wanted to be a cartoon character voice.
Have you?
I think it'd be kind of cool.
It probably would be fun.
Yeah, but I don't have that talent. Anyways, here I am working for a living.
So, like we said in the beginning, though, please go like and share and send our information to anybody you guys think would be interested in what we have to say.
Yeah.
And like I said before, we'd love for you guys to send us feedback, to ask us questions. If there's topics that we don't think of, maybe you guys could send them over.
Yeah. I want to end on this. Megan shared a quote. I don't know where she got it from. Where'd you get it from, Megan?
Did I put it on there?
Yeah, you put the website. Mom Junction.
There we go.
Again, it'll be down below. However, I thought it was a beautiful quote. I read it the other day when she put it in her notes, and it said, why don't you share it? It's your quote. You shared it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Divorce marks the end of a marriage, not the family's connection.
Which I love that, because the divorce happened between 2 people, not the whole family.
Yeah.
And so I think
it doesn't change that you're still that kid's family. So,
right.
Like you said.
And so you get to either keep your family. It just might not be that traditional setting. You get to grow your family if that time is to come for yourself as a parent, or if you're a kid listening. I guess kids can listen. Yeah.
Sure.
You know? I mean, that'd be cool to have a kid.
That would be cool.
Be like, yeah, you guys rock. That's maybe they'll drop like a cool little lingo term.
Yeah.
It's real mid. Or a little sus.
No cap.
Our boys are probably going to hate us for that one. However, yes. So, join us again next time. The holidays are coming, so we might have some fun topics about that.
Yeah.
The weather's nice here in Florida. Our windows are open today.
Yeah, I'm wearing a sweater.
I know, me too. But flip-flops, because we live in Florida.
Yeah, because it'd be like that.
Yeah. So, like, subscribe, follow on all those little platforms we listed earlier.
Yep.
And we can't wait to see you guys next time.
And tune in every other Wednesday.
Yes. To hang out with us.
Nice to see you guys and talk to you again.
Bye.
Bye.
We end a lot better than we start.
Oh, yeah, we love our goodbyes, not our hellos.
We're like, okay, get off the screen. Just from our research and kind of prepping for this episode was, the sex. The success. Take that.
The sex of it.